Yes, listen students. So this is a 5-mark question, very important 5-mark question. The operation of the acceleration principle. So in the previous class we saw some introduction, meaning, definitions and assumptions. That we saw in the previous class about the acceleration principle. So this class we are going to see about how the acceleration principle is operating or functioning. That is the operation of the acceleration principle. So the operation of the acceleration principle is illustrated in the simple diagram and the explanation. Acceleration principle explained with a simple diagram. For example, suppose in order to produce the consumer goods in 1000 numbers, the machines required for 100 in numbers. In order to produce the consumer goods in 100 numbers, for make out the 1000 number of consumer goods, the number of machines required is 100. So 1000 number of consumer goods to produce, how many number of machines required? 100 machines required. Then the working life of a machine is 10 years. Working life of a machine is 10 years. That means every year we have to replace 10 machines. Every year we have to replace 10 machines for the constant flow of goods, for the meet out the required demand, or regular supply of goods, or to meet out the required demand, we have to replace 10 machines every year, because of the lifetime of a machine is 10 years. Do you understand? So for producing of 1000 number of commodities, consumer goods, required 100 machines. The estimated lifetime of the machine is 10 years. So we should understand every 10 machines have to be replaced. Every year we have to replace 10 machines out of 100 machines for meet out the regular flow of consumer goods, or to meet out the required demand. Suppose the demand has been increased, the consumer goods increase the demand by 10%, which means from 1000 to 1100. So already we are producing 1000 goods. Out of 1000, 10% will be 100. So the consumer demand increased by 10% from 1000 to 1100. Similarly, the demand for the machines, that is investment, would also increased for 10 numbers. So for producing of consumer goods 1000, we require 100 machines. Then additionally we are producing 100 numbers consumer goods, so it requires 10 machines to be required. So the additional demand increased 100, and the demand for the investment goods, that is machineries, 10 in numbers. So the total demand of the machineries increased to 20. That means every year we are replacing 10 machines, and we require the additional number of machines 10 for meet out the increasing demand. So the total number of machines required now are in 20. Do you understand? 10 machines required for producing of regular demand, and increasing of demand in 100 numbers, that is also required, then 10 machines. So the total number of machines required now in 20. It is to be noted that the consumer goods increased by 10%. The percentage of consumer goods increased only by 10%. But in case of the demand for the investment goods, that is machinery, in 100%. That means already required only 10. But after increasing of the consumer goods, the number of machines also increased by 10. So the total number of machines now will give 20. That is 100% demand for the machineries or investment goods. So, do you understand? So, the increasing of consumer goods only 10%, that is 1000 to 1100. But in case of the demand for the machinery is required 100 increase by 100%. That means already only 10 is enough to produce the 1000 goods. Now the consumer goods increase 100, so there is need of additional 10 investment. Additional machineries 10. So the consumer goods are increased only 10%, but the investment goods required by increased by 100%. So we may conclude that even a mild change in the consumer goods, there is a smaller change in the consumer goods, but in case of there is a wide change in the investment goods. So the mild change, that is only 10% in the consumer goods, but there is a wide change in the investment good, that is machinery 100%. So this is, you should be understood only the effect of accelerated principle or operation of the accelerated principle. So now we may explain this concept in a simple diagram. There is OX axis. OX axis refers to income of the people, and OY refers to investment and the savings. So we refer OX axis income and OY axis savings and the investment. Then yes, this is the yes. The curve is yes and yes and S1. Explain about the savings of the people. And I and I1 refers to the investment. SS curve explain the savings. I curve is explain the investment. At point E1, this is the point E1. The economy of the nation is achieving of equilibrium with OY1 level of income and OI2 level of investment and saving. So the equilibrium number 1, that is E1 is the equilibrium point. This is achieving the level of income O and Y1. The same level of investment, that is O and I2 level of investment and the savings. So the equilibrium point achieving from O Y1 level of income and O I2 level of investment and the savings. This is explained here. At point E1, the economy is the equilibrium with OY1 income and OI2 level of investment and the savings. Now the income is increased from OI2 from OI4. Similarly, the income is also increased from OI1 to OI3. You understand clearly? The income is increased from OY1 to OY3, and the investment and the savings are increased from OI2 to OI4. From this level to this level, investment is increased from I2 to I4. The level of income is increased from I2 to I4, whereas the income is increased from OY2 to OY3. Then the equilibrium point is E3. The previous one is equilibrium E1, and the second equilibrium, that is income is increased from I2 from I4, and the income is also increased from Y1 to Y3. Then the equilibrium point is E3. Understand? So the first equilibrium is E1. This is Y1 to OY1 to OI2. This is the first equilibrium. Then the level of investment and the savings increased from I2 to I4. That means equilibrium 3 is OY2 to OY4. Income is increased from I2 to I4. and the income is increased from O Y1 to O Y3. Understand? The first level of equilibrium is O to O1 O Y1 level of income. The investment is OI2 and the equilibrium level is E1. Then the income is increased from OY1 from to OY3. Income is increased. And the investment also increased from I2 level from I2 level to I4. That is OI2 0 I4. The equilibrium is E3. So the investment increased from I2 to I4. The income is increased from I2 I4. This is exogenous investment. Exogenous investment. The income is also increased from Y1 to Y3. This is multiplier effect. The income increased Y1 to Y3. This is multiplier effect. So income increased from I2 level to I4 is called as exogenous investment. And the income is increased from Y1 level to Y3 is called a multiplier effect. This is exogenous and this is multiplier effect. It is assuming that I2 I3 this is known as exogenous investment and I3 I4 is the induced investment. This is induced investment and this is exogenous investment. I2 I3 which is known as exogenous investment, whereas the I3 and I4 is a induced investment. You don't confuse with yourself. I2 I3 is a exogenous investment and I3 I4 is the induced investment. Similarly, the income effect, it is therefore income Y1 and Y2 is known as multiplier effect and Y2 Y3 is known as accelerated effect. Income increased from Y1 to Y2 is known as multiplier effect. This is due to multiplier effect. When the income is increased from Y2 level to Y3 is called as accelerated effect. So you should understand very clearly. I2 from I2 to I3 is a exogenous investment and I3 to I4 is a induced investment. And here also Y1 to Y2 level income is called as multiplier effect. The income increase due to multiplier effect, whereas the I2 level to I3 level of income increase due to accelerated effects. This is I am writing here, so you should understand very clearly. So I repeat once again the same diagram. O x-axis refers to income, OY axis refers to savings and the investment. The first equilibrium point is E1, which is happening the equilibrium of the economy. The level of income is OY1 and the investment is OI2, the first equilibrium. And the second one is the income is increased from Y1 to Y3 and the investment also increased from I level to I4. So the equilibrium is E3. Okay. So the investment changing I2 level to I3, which is known as exogenous investment. The investment increase I3 level to I4 level is called as induced investment. So exogenous investment and induced investment. Here also Y1 to Y level the income is changed due to multiplier effect, and y2 to y3 level, the income is changing due to the accelerated effect. That's all. So don't confuse. The S line indicates about the savings, and I mentioned about the investment. So it is a important 5-mark question. You have to explain like this: operation of the acceleration principle. So the next class we will see some limitations also be here while the operation of the accelerated principle. See in the next class. It is very important 5-mark question.